so go and rock do 2 reels, and then we'll go to
A
overtime.
lot of religious people who are highly dogmatic are the ones hiding their secret lives. People who don't want you to see them will choose churches that only talk about doctrine because it never talks about them. You never have to deal with you and your life and your heart. Some people go, why don't you speak on doctrine while they're having an affair or they're cheating in their business? Dogma is a great way to hide your brokenness.
Great reel.
What do you think?
Accurate.
How? Like, how do you see it?
I think that, and it's always my concern, even in our church, it's like we do not want to become legalistic. And I mean, I don't totally agree with, I think there again, you can take the extremes and you can say, oh,
Paint everything with one brush.
yeah, it's like, oh, they're into the doctrine. Like, no, that's not true. And doctrine does matter, right?
Yes.
Like what you believe matters. The problem is if that is what you are focused on, like nowhere in the Bible does it say the greatest command is to make sure that your doctrine is accurate. It's important that the doctrine is accurate. And if you're in the Bible, your doctrine will be accurate. If you're spending a lot of time there, you should be pretty close to where you should be. But it is interesting how as human beings, we just find weird things to hyper-focus on. So that's even my concern sometimes.
And what about his idea of like hiding behind it? Like that you're just like really strict on like on your doctrine and stuff like that, and you use it as like a shield not to be open.
I could see that because I know people that in my life that I'm very close to that are very comfortable as long as they're talking about peripheral things. So I wouldn't even say necessarily doctrine, but anything that's exterior. Like
I did myself before I was a Christian. I could debate doctrine all day long. I remember being like pissed drunk in a hot tub debating Calvinism with somebody. Like I didn't care about Jesus at all. I just wanted to be right.
Just wanted to be right. Yeah. So it's pretty dangerous.
I also think it also shows up. I was talking to a guy yesterday, and he said that we were talking about how he grew up was that sin was never defined in his church, and so the people that were saved, they never talked about their sin. They talked about like they felt bad about their sin, or they like said like they felt their misery, and from the preacher would say like. Do you feel your sin? Do you feel how bad you've sinned and stuff like that? But it was never defined.
What is it?
And so it was never like, I love money too much. It was never like I look at porn. It was never, like I get angry.
Which is interesting because in a church like that, they would have for sure read the commandments every Sunday, but nobody would ever explicitly dictate how they had broken the commandment.
Yes, and define it themselves. So you would get this idea that the Christians, the people that would attend communion and stuff like that in the church, would have it all together because they would never talk about their sin explicitly, what it actually was. Like in the Bible, it does, right? You talk about the sin of like David and Paul and Noah and all these guys. It explicitly talks about their sin and shows that they were broken men that needed Jesus. But it was never, in this discussion I had with this guy, it was never talked about. So you never really had, when you thought about being a Christian yourself, you get this idea that you need to be perfect because you never associate what the Christian with also being a sinner, like the whole point of it. And I think that's really important to define it, and especially define it in the sense of like not loving Jesus is the sin of all sins. Like not believing in him is the ultimate sin. It's not, when you get taught that, you have to, other maybe Christian things that you can debate, let's say, assuming they're correct, like
or secondary issues.
Secondary issues, like if that's all gets talked about of being a Christian, of like certain music you listen to or what you do on Sundays, or like if you have TV or whatever, how you dress.
I always say in our house we have a saying, and it's always like we need to be careful that we don't put behavior modification above heart transformation, and it's just human nature for me too. And I can't stand it when I do it all the time with my kids. I'm like, oh, here I am just trying to browbeat them into like doing the right things. No, like I want my kids' heart to be in the right spot. And eventually, maybe not at 10 or 6 or 5 and whatever, and maybe not ever under my watch, but it's like, hey, if their heart is following the Lord, eventually their behavior, they will be convicted and their behavior will follow, right? And so to like just stiff arm your kids, and like I say, I do it all the time. Speaking of areas where I struggle, it's like do the right thing, look the right way. It's like, so we do that at the church level too, right? And some whole denominations are probably have a bent that way on all areas of the spectrum. Like when you talk about doctrine, like I'm thinking even of the conversations I've had with people in our circles now where it's like total secondary things like end time stuff. There again, people come unhinged on that because it's like, no, that's not a secondary issue.
Yeah.
Well, it's not a salvation issue. We can disagree on the end times and still agree on the fundamentals of our faith, right? And so I think that's where I think I went on the rant a couple of weeks ago about the whole, like, you know, our childhood and how we were brought up and kind of but I think that's where even now I see it in my circles where people, they just hyper focus on those things. And I'm like, whoa, you're missing it. So that was a good reel.
So in this discussion, this guy was saying that sin was actually not preached about growing up. Like, hearing the things of, like, you need to know your sin. He heard that.
But practical
and you're a sinner,
examples of sin weren't?
Yeah. And also that sin is not loving Jesus. It's not like, you know, watching TV or whatever the thing is. Like, that's not sin. Sin is like, and that was never clear to define. So you can't be convicted, right? You can't, you know, like, what if you allow, like, if there's a church that allows their members or people to become members when they're not Christians, when they're not saved, well, you're giving them a false comfort that they're Christians now. You know, let them baptize their kids when they're not saved. You're giving them a false comfort. It wasn't until I was 21 that I realized I wasn't a Christian. When someone asked me, like, "Are you Christian?" I said, "Yeah." And he's like, "When did you get saved?"
Yeah, it's because we had the 3 camps, but
yeah. So I don't know. I thought it was interesting. So next reel. Hey guys, if you enjoyed that episode and were blessed by it, would you be willing to support the show? That would help a lot in creating more content, improving the quality of the content, putting the production value, getting more guests on, and me being able to spend more time and energy towards it. So if you're interested in doing that, you can click up here and it'll take you to a support page. But you can also subscribe to the podcast by clicking over here and doing that. Thanks again for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one.